Welcome to the Vegan Transformation. I'm your host, Angela Crawford, a psychologist, transformational coach, and vegan educator. And I'm passionate about the power of a plant-based lifestyle, a vegan lifestyle for our health, our mental health, our emotional well-being, our spiritual well-being. And this program is to really share the transformations that many of us can find on this vegan path. And it's to support both those of you that are already vegan, that want support on your journey to really thrive emotionally and in mind, body, and spirit. And also for those of you that maybe are just curious and wanting to know more about what it's like to eat more plants and be more vegetarian or vegan and moving in that direction. So welcome, whoever you are. And I want to introduce you to our guest today. I'm so excited that, Jun is joining me here. And Jun, say your full name so that I make sure I say it correctly.
Good one. Play it safe. So my name is Jun Fuchs, and Fuchs is
awesome.
German.
And you're from originally, where are you?
I'm Swiss. I grew up in Switzerland, so my family name is German.
I love it. Yeah. Well, Jun is a certified life coach, an award-winning author, and public speaker. His vision is to veganize over 50% of the global human population by 2030. And Jun is an amplifier for the vegan community with his unique blend of traditional life coaching skills mixed with his modern and creative mindfulness tools that allow you to awaken your most creative, confident, and vibrant self. And I'm so excited you're here. Thank you for coming and joining me.
Well, thank you. The excitement is very mutual, Angela. Really
awesome. Nice. Well, as we get started, one thing that I think many people are always curious about is your vegan journey. And, what was it that led you to become vegan to start with? And how long ago was that? Can you share a little bit about that?
Absolutely. I turned vegan in 2017. I can't recall the exact date, but it was towards the end of the year. And what made me go vegan was definitely understanding what is happening in the animal agriculture and in the industry. So how animals are treated and how I'm actually not supporting that. But let's rewind for a bit. So fun story, actually, before I went vegan, I was vegetarian for 3 years, just out of curiosity and kind of like health reasons. And I figured out vegetarianism worked out well for me, for my health. And before that, I was an employee at McDonald's. So I was very much into eating meat, and I would like protect McDonald's even. They gave me a job. They gave me like a good salary back then. So I would like really be on the side of omnivores and meat eaters, and really like every time I met a vegetarian, I would be like, off, away, shut up, leave me alone. And at some point, I kind of had this train of thought from being a meat eater or an omnivore, of like, what's the deal with eating animals? Like, is it necessary? Do I have to? And I kind of followed that train of thought, and I tested out how vegetarianism would work out for me. And it turned out that I did feel much healthier. I had a lot of acne on my back, and it started disappearing by this simple change of eating no more meat. And I used to be a badminton player to like, let's say a solid, not professional, but like a certain level. And I noticed how like my performance increased a bit. But still, there was a lot of like eggs and a lot of cheese. I mean, I grew up in Switzerland, so there was a lot of cheese in my diet almost every day. And there was this one friend that I'm still in touch with, and I'm really grateful for. He's such an amazing human being. I'm about to visit him again in Switzerland. I'm based in Bali at the moment, so I haven't been to my home country in a while. And I'm looking forward to see him. What he did was he invited me to a movie screening one day of a movie that was named In the Name of the Animals. It was a German movie, and it were about 50 interviews of vegans all over the world, different ages, different backgrounds, different history, just completely different people. And what united them was that they were all vegan. And my ass was still a bit judgmental back then. I was like, oh, what do you want again? Leave me alone. I'm vegetarian already. It's all good. still I was in a phase in my life where I always embraced surprises and new things. So I said, you know what? I'm going to sit in that cinema and watch that movie with you. Right. So I sat there and I watched that movie and I heard these people talk about how they view the world, what they experience when they see animals suffer, and in what areas that in our everyday life we contribute to that, most of the time not knowing. And I walked out of that cinema 1.5 hours later. I was in tears and I was like, never, ever again am I gonna support this kind of cruelty. There's just no way I could be at peace with me doing that. So I couldn't close my eyes anymore because I saw, and once you see, you know. That was the initiation for me, and that's when I turned vegan.
Wow. Yeah, it
Yeah.
sounds like it was a journey, you know, but something really opened your eyes and made you connect. And,
Yeah.
you know, once you did, what was that like for you once you became vegan? You know, what did you notice? You know, and there may be good and there may be bad. You know, there might be things that were really positive that you experienced. There might have been things that were more challenging. What was it like once you became vegan?
Hmm. The first reaction was, I gotta tell everybody about this. I was
I
like,
can
holy
relate.
shit, right? Like,
Yes.
holy shit, why doesn't the world know about this? And
You
so
say
I went,
this, you mean the animal agriculture piece?
exactly. Thanks
Yes.
for pointing that out. Why doesn't the world or most of the world know that by eating eggs or by consuming honey or by buying certain types of clothing or beauty products that we're actually actively contributing to this chain of suffering, right? So when you buy a product, there's a whole chain of events that had to happen for that product to be there on the shelf. And I learned to understand that chain and to see the history of every single thing I would buy with my money, or I would like support as an event or as a co-creator in a team or whatever it is, you know. So yeah, once I understood the suffering that these products developed or include in their development, I couldn't support it anymore. And that made me angry.
Mm.
That rate made me really, really angry. And that anger has found shape in a certain type of activism. So I all of a sudden started spending my weekends next to full-time work. I was studying graphic design back then. So I was like in full-time work environment, study environment. And next to that, I would spend almost all of the free time that I had on going to outreach events, handing out leaflets at the train station, talking to people like in public, just like having a setup of like a sign, Earthling Ed style, and sitting on a table and being like, everybody should be vegan, debate me, or something like that on the side. So like
Yes.
all of these outreach type of activisms, and I did them to an extent that I burned out and I turned
Mm.
people off because I was
Mm.
angry. I was really coming from an angry and frustrated place, which I know a lot of vegans experience, and even non-vegans. If you realize something about human rights, let's say
Yes.
you realize like the clothing industry is very often misusing humans to produce them for no money, and they, you know, there were some dramas on that as well that we could open a book about here, but we won't. Some listeners and watchers of this may know. But it's frustrating to see how most people contribute to things that they're actually not aligned with. And we, as the people that start seeing that, creates a lot of anger. So that was a part of my journey. Now, after 2.5 years, I actually started feeling better and better and better. So I started really finding myself home in my body. I lost weight to an extent where I felt like, okay, my body is capable of doing the things that I really want to do in life. I started initiating yoga practices, and I felt like, okay, I'd become more flexible. I started surfing, and my muscle recovery became faster, and I just felt so much more home in my body. But I burned out on a mental
Mm.
health like perspective. I burnt out and I retreated myself. And what I did when I retreated myself from activism is like I really learned how to take care of my mind, my heart, my body, my spirit. So there was like a spiritual aspect to it as well. Wasn't the main part, but it came in at some point as well. And with that, there was also curiosity around, okay, what else is there? And I discovered whole food, plant-based foods. And I was raw vegan for almost a year. And I tried what it's like to have no cooked foods and no processed foods. So going vegan was actually just the first step for me to understand and to explore how much more healthy I could be and how much more I could become aligned with the actions as a consumer that I'm taking. So after that burnout, and after really understanding how to take care of all of me, I would say I came into a fullness that I've never experienced before. And I feel like I'm in my purpose like I've never felt before. And that's only a little over 5 years into being vegan now. So I'm really curious what else is gonna develop through this journey and this experience.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like if I had met you, 7 or 8 years ago, you wouldn't recognize even the person you've become.
Not even close. Mm-mm.
Yeah, we wouldn't. And that is really amazing. Like I hear like different layers to what you shared. I mean, one was just the choice to become vegan once you saw the cruelty to animals in all kinds of industries, not only animal agriculture, but research that's done on products and entertainment and just so many vast, clothing, the many vast ways that animals are harmed for human use and whether it be our food or clothing or other things. So you awoke to that, and that sounds like freeing and empowering. I hear that was life-changing for you to have that awakening and awareness, even though it also made you angry and upset. Why don't others see this? How can I get others to see this so that we can stop this suffering? So there were these stages, it sounds like, of this awakening and feeling empowered, and then like kind of the disillusionment of others not seeing it or getting it.
Yeah, it was like a very, very bittersweet dish at the beginning.
Yes. And I
Like,
hear that you learn to include yourself in your circle of care, because that may be one of the challenges that sometimes we face as vegans is when we become really concerned for animal rights, and animal well-being, and stopping the suffering, we forget that we too are animals, we too are,
yeah.
beings that need to live in sort of a balance or harmony of some sort, or we're not very helpful to any cause that we believe in if we're not in balance ourselves, if we're not healthy ourselves, and if we can't see the whole world as interconnected, that other humans are part of this journey, and how do we relate to them too in a way that, I don't know, that works, that is effective and empowering, and actually creates the more compassionate world that we hope to see.
Yeah, I think we're all on the same page, regardless if we're a vegan, not yet vegan, vegetarian, on the journey to vegan, pescatarian, still omnivore. I think deep down in our hearts, we all really want peace for ourselves and the people and the beings around us, the planet, and maybe beyond that, the whole universe. And whatever steps need to be taken, and I think I'm calling out everybody who's watching and listening right now, whatever steps you need to take in order to tune into that peace. And this might be different for everybody, but if you are listening to this and if you're feeling like you do want to see a world that is more happy, more healthy, more peaceful, then the invitation for you is to ask yourself, what are your steps to take to contribute to that? And no, you don't have to become the president of your country for that.
Yes.
Maybe one day that might happen, but like every single choice you make has more impact than you think it
Yes.
does. So by tuning into that, and you said it so nicely, finding peace with oneself, it comes along the way. And I know a lot of us are like seeking happiness and seeking more balance in life, but that comes with living according to your values. It's like the side effect. like living according to your values. That's the red, but like that's the path you want to walk. And the self-love, the self-acceptance, the discipline, the attitude towards life that you would love to have, the courage, the focus on joy, that all comes with it. And then it doesn't matter if you're vegan or not, because veganism is a step that most probably will come on that way as well. That's how I view it.
And you mentioning the values, that's really interesting. And the book research that I've been doing, interviewing vegans, that alignment with values was the top thing that kept coming up again and again for people, that like, I'm finally aligning my behaviors, my choices with what I deeply value, which is often, compassion, justice, peace, fairness, for all beings. And that, that does bring peace. And it's hard because we want to see a world that doesn't yet maybe fully exist in the, as far as that compassion being evident everywhere. But yet, how awesome each of us as we awaken to take steps towards that. I mean, we're on a journey. So for you, when you took your time out to realize you needed to heal and then kind of come out of it, and maybe a different kind of activist, share a little bit about what helped you, to kind of be healthier emotionally, physically, spiritually.
There's several moments that are crossing my mind right now when that journey really began. And I can't say it really began then because it was always present. But there was one very essential moment where I was understanding that a relationship, an intimate relationship that I was in, wasn't serving me at all. It was holding me back. It was toxic. I was doubting myself through being in that presence of that other person. And I needed to get out of there. And I knew that that's going to be painful for me. And I knew that it's going to even be more painful for him because I knew him. I knew where he was at in his journey. And so I discovered that there's so much of the people pleaser of wanting to do things for others and not having the energy or the resilience built to do it, but still giving and giving and giving and giving from a rather empty place. So one moment was where I surrendered and accepted an invitation to join a retreat up in North Bali. And that was a de-armoring retreat. De-armoring is a type of body work that is used to release stored emotions and traumas out of your system in a very holistic way. And so I met the hostess of this training, of this retreat, and I got in touch with her. We kind of had some friendship vibes. She knew that I would be a person to guide, but also we had a good interpersonal connection with one another. And I joined that retreat and I invested in that, and I cracked open in the most painful way. And that was the moment where I realized that I can only give and create and share in a way that really helps people, helps myself, helps animals, helps the world, when I come from fullness, when I come from a place of I'm grounded, I'm good in my body, my mind feels good, I got myself. And before that, I was dabbling in some, spiritual practices. I was discovering a little bit of yoga, but it never really sank in. And that was the moment where it sank in. And I walked out of that retreat in tears, devastated, with a fever. I was sick, but I did let go of that relationship. And not only did I let go of that relationship, but I did let go of a relationship that I had to a past self of mine, a self that was always trying to do things for others, although I felt empty inside and I didn't feel like I had the energy. And then from there, the curiosity brought me on the path, and I learned more about meditation practice. I learned more about breathwork practice. I have a handful of mentors that I studied under that taught me how the mind works, how the science is having something to do with it. And I deepened my yoga practice, and I developed a very firm routine, actually, a routine of 4 to 5 steps every single day that I gift myself with in order to gift people, animals, and the world with more of what I have to give. And I'm happy to share these 5 things for anybody who
Yeah,
wants
that would
to.
be great. I think sometimes knowing someone else's routine or practices, helps spur us on our own path.
Yeah, and before I share them, I actually want to say that practices only work if we practice them. Kind of obvious, but most people tend to forget that. Like, oh yeah, I've done yoga for a month. It didn't work for me. And like, honey, you got to dedicate. You got to give yourself to the practice, and then the fruits will grow. So, like, what I give myself with every single day are 10 to 45 minutes of meditation. Sometimes I'm out there for 2 hours, but most of the time it's like 10 to 45 minutes, which most of the days is directly followed by a breathing practice, a breathwork practice, which I dedicate myself to the breath. I ask myself, how do I need to breathe to awaken energy or to ground myself? There's different ways of breathing that I've learned that I can apply. And then I follow with a movement practice. Just before the movement practice, I have a hydration moment where I just make sure to drink enough, and then I move my body in whatever shape or form that is, surfing, yoga, dancing, mellow stretching, whatever my body really feels like. And then the fifth part is a journaling, so that I sit down and I have a conversation with all the personalities that are inside of me. And I have a conversation with them, and I just check in and see, oh, where is a block? What do I think about? What thoughts are stuck? So I write them down, and with that, usually they kind of have their place there and they don't need to stay there. So that's a long answer to your question, and I hope it's helpful for everyone listening.
Yeah, it brings to mind, that first of all, that veganism is part of like a larger spiritual mind, body, spirit healing journey, that the choice to not eat animals, that was a first step on your journey. And it helped you to you were no longer ingesting the suffering that comes from, animals in that industry. You were eating over time. It sounds like you also chose to eat more of the healthier plant-based foods, more in the direction of whole, which is good. Our body really loves those nutrients from whole plant foods. And then, you were starting to live your purpose, but living it in a way that was burning you out. So you had to kind of retreat inside, reconnect with your spirit, and now take this forward with all these, the learnings that you had, and then applying it in a regular practice that nurtures you, so that now you can go out with that purpose, but in a different way. And so I guess, having shared that, I'm curious now, what does your purpose look like now, as you've taken this time to reconnect with yourself and nurture your spirit and your mind and body?
Yeah, so the first voice that came through was the voice of approximately 260 people that
Yes.
that asked me a very specific question. And that was around 2.5 years ago that started becoming, like, it came into my conscious awareness. And the question always was, what is it that you do to always have like you always seem okay, you always seem happy or balanced or whatever words they use, but like what's your secret? Kind of like that, right? Like, do you have a secret? Are you a magician? Are you fake all the time? What's up? What's up? And I was like, okay, let me tell you what's up. And then a day later, okay, let me tell you what's up. And then maybe the same day for dinner, let me tell you what's up. And that's where I realized that I'm spending a lot of time on telling people what I do that helps me. And I kept observing it, and I said, oh my God, other people feel that too. Like, they're like, I'm trying it, I'm testing it out, it feels great. And I was like, I want to actually spend more time on this than anything else. Anything else. Like, I want to help people that I already resonate with. Vegan activists, people that become vegan are on the way, no matter who it was, but like, I want to help them get to a state of mind and heart that I achieved for myself. And with giving advice on repeat, I observed how people would like actually change. They would practice what I tell them. I would actually check in with them, and like see how it was going out of pure curiosity. And Turns out that what I was teaching was actually working for more people than I thought.
Wow.
And then I thought, okay, I gotta set up something that I can do this and I can be supported and I can pay my rent and pay food and be supported financially as well as in my purpose. And so I chose a vehicle called life coaching, and I educated myself around that. And the beauty about life coaching, but also the curse, is that everybody can be it because you don't need a specific certification. I've gotten one along the way because I believe, you really got to dial in and understand and learn. But as I was getting my certification, I also realized I kind of know all of that stuff already. Like I learned that from practice and experience and other teachers in other kind of teachings. So essentially, I chose that vehicle, and that vehicle has guided me to a place where I was able to help like a good handful, a good group of people over the past years in terms of mental health, emotional resilience, inner alignment, and inner healing. Yet then I also realized, hey, you're here to help people go vegan. I was like, you're an activist at heart. You're a vegan change maker at heart. So how can I fuse those two? And a couple of my clients in the past were vegan. Some of them were vegetarian and turned vegan, and some of them were meat eaters and are now vegetarians or just transitioning to vegans. So I realized, hey, being around me makes people go vegan. Side effect. Great, right? Fucking great. And then the question came to mind, like, who is my actual tribe? Who do I enjoy hanging out with most? And there's a couple of different ones. There's like the queer community, the gay community, the LGBTQ plus community. And then there's the vegan community, which I'm very home there. And I was like, okay, what can I bring to the table in our vegan community that isn't really offered yet? There is space for that. There is a need for that. People are seeking a certain kind of transformation. What can I help them transform into? And so the past year has actually been very much about finding what my skills, uniqueness, and talents are that can amplify other vegans in our community to figure out what their talents, their uniqueness, their skills. I usually call it the zone of brilliance, which combines your uniqueness, your skills, your tools that you've learned, and your talents, your universe or God-given talents. So I figured out my zone of brilliance is I amplify other people, right? I amplify them and get them to the next level. And that shows up in so many facets. So I've done business coaching a little bit in the past. I've done a lot of mental health coaching. I've done a lot of like inner healing coaching. We worked on, like mindset, trauma healing, emotional release, and emotional intelligence. So all of these things. So I was like, okay, I'm a guide, I'm a mentor, and I amplify. And this brings me to what I actually told you before we started recording, right? Because the bigger vision for me, which I know most of us share, is to see the world become compassionate. And one step there is to see a lot of the human global population go vegan. That's just a crucial step towards compassion and peace on this planet. So just very recently, I've published a plan. I've launched a video. I've uploaded a video. I've started sharing a video and a plan, which is called the Vreedom Quest plan. And freedom is written with a V, like vegan. And that plan is to build a platform for vegans and further down the road for pre-vegans to come in and to learn every single skill, every single tool, everything that they would want to learn, from relationships to mindfulness to communication to public speech to entrepreneurship to social media, that they can use these skills in their shape or form of vegan activism. So basically, we're building a community of deeply empowered vegans, activists of any kind. So if you're not vegan yet, or if you're vegan and you're also very much in it for the planet or for humans or for any other reason, maybe even spirituality is a reason for you to turn people or have people go vegan, whatever it is, the Vreedom Quest is a platform that launches in 2024 and will provide every single vegan on this planet and pre-vegan with trainings to get to a next level that they can really have impact in the world. And we can make this world a truly compassionate planet. So that's what's up on this side.
Wow, that is amazing. Again, I'm just thinking, you probably look back at your life and going like, wow, when I was doing graphic design, I had no idea this is where I was headed. You know, but that's
No clue.
thing, just people need community, they need support, they need connection, they need skills and tools, all kinds of things that help us on our journey, and coming together, obviously is huge, because trying to do it
Yeah.
alone. I think that's one of the things I see with many people who are vegan that might be struggling at all. It's often that they're isolated and don't have, the support, or to know that it's okay to include themselves in their circle of care. So both what you're,
That's how you said it. I love how you say that. I love how you say that.
yeah. So I love how you're bringing that all together. That offers that, So how, and people can serve in so many ways. Some people are, activists that are out there, and others, are advocates and teachers in other ways, that help. And, there's just such, like you say, we have our zone of brilliance, and there's so many different ways we each serve from our gifts and our personalities and our passions. So it's beautiful, and I'm excited to hear how it unfolds. Maybe down the road we'll meet up here again, and see, as this platform is unfolding, you'll share the next phase on that and how that's coming along. I'd love to hear about it.
Very happy to. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, as we're nearing the time to wrap up, I guess one question that struck me is, given that you have done so much inner work, and some of that inner work came after you became vegan, do you think being vegan and not ingesting animals, or meat or animal products, does that impact your spirituality in any way? Because is there a connection there, I wonder, that you've noticed?
For me, yes. Yeah. For me, there definitely is. And I believe there's no way that that isn't gonna happen for anyone. I think that when we're going vegan from a place of actually caring and actually choosing compassion, that's just another area in this space to discover, is to look at spirituality, to understand it. And for me personally, spirituality was hard to understand because I come from like a very analytical point of view. I am always very much into the scientific backgrounds and the research, and that took me a while to like understand that the things that spiritual teachers pass on to their students or to the world are backed by science. Even though if they don't know about it or promote it, there is a lot of science that explains the exact same situations and processes that spirituality explains in other words. So it's just another language of mastering everything you've been gifted with by God, the universe, the creator, the spirits, whatever you want to call it. And that includes the mind, your body, your heart, your soul, if you want to call it like that. Believe we're sent into this body to understand what this body can do and to explore its potential. And then probably when we explore the full potential, we're probably going to leave the planet again. You're like, okay, you've done your job, come back to, or go back to wherever you came from. But there was definitely a strong bridge between being vegan and being affirmed through spirituality. Like spirituality reaffirmed my choice to become vegan. Every single time I understood more about it or learned more about spirituality, it reaffirmed the choice. And I can say that any different topic. If I talk about my health, my physical health, if I talk about my performance, if I talk about the impact that it's having on the people around me, I think the more I understand everything, or at least the more I explore everything, the more veganism makes sense as well. Yeah.
Yeah, and it sounds like it's rippled out to both affect different parts of your life in various ways, but also to, as you become more yourself, you realize it's so aligned with who your more true core self really is. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, as we wrap up, any final words of just, anything you want to share about how being vegan has affected your life and how you hope it to kind of go out into the world?
I'm not sure if the final words will be about that, but I have one tattoo on my body, which was a promise I made to myself. It's a circle on my hand. Very simple, very minimalistic. This circle reminds me of my commitment to take care of the full circle experience of life, including my life and everybody else's or everything else's life, to the extent that I can. And what I want to say for today as the last word is I want to call everybody listening and watching this out. I want to call you out. You haven't been watching this up until the end because you were just like, I don't know, cooking next door. You were actually here with us. So now knowing all of that you've learned from this video, this interview, I want to remind you how fucking important it is to take your next step, to be there for yourself if you're not there for yourself yet, to look at how veganism impacts the lives of animals around you, of the planet around you. If you haven't done that yet, please have a look at it. I know it's scary. I know vegans are being seen as extreme, but it's the next step. So let's just be courageous. It pays off. I'm a living embodiment of that. It pays off. Angela probably has so much to talk about as well, that if you know her, you will know about how it pays off to take this step. So that will be my invitation for you all. Just take the next step and just that, and then another one from there.
Powerful. Thank you for ending on that note. And I really appreciate you being here, June. It was very inspirational and motivating, and I hope it will reach the people that it can most support. So thank you, for being here. And I just want to thank everyone who is listening or watching. Thank you for listening to the Vegan Transformation and for listening to this interview. And I hope that if this content and this information is helpful to you, that you will both subscribe and share it with others who might benefit. So look forward to seeing you all again, and take care. We'll be back soon.